Is it recording yet?
So I use it for students who struggle a little more.
Oh, so it just moves more slowly?
I don't know, it seems like it moves slower, or everything is clearer on the page. It's easier to read on the page.
So, like,
And the other thing was it this one I like? It starts off with instead of the like 4/4, instead of the bottom 4, they put a quarter note.
Oh, really?
did you,
They have a really cool set of Halloween books.
oh,
One, two,
yeah.
three, four, that have great pieces in it, some originals, some for little kids, and then some like the Dance Macabre like, it's not just an easier version of it, that the kids would really like those piano
Okay.
Halloween books, so.
Anyone else want it? Valerie, did I see your hand up? And then- No.
I've only heard of it.
Heard of it. Okay, so Keystyle is pretty reliable, right? So I would think that it would be a good method. I obviously own the copy of it, but I haven't used it, so. That's piano sound. Next one I did was the long piano method. What?
I have used, he has a new adult method out. He's,
Okay.
And I have started using that with like my older beginners, like my teen beginners and things like that. And I like it in that it introduces theory stuff quicker, so they can understand why things are the way they are, but they're not as difficult to place, and sometimes they can't keep up.
See, I've never found a method that teaches theory as completely and quickly as I want. So I do different, like I use theory strips, I use RCM theory, but yeah.
That was his whole purpose, because I went to a presentation of his, and that's what he said.
Okay.
He tried to do it so that
That they understand the theory.
stuff would be introduced quicker, since it's more of like an older beginner adult.
Okay, that's good to know. I might look into that then. Okay, what do we know about the long piano method? Heard of it?
I didn't know we had one.
Okay, like I said, I've told you before that you may or may not remember, I am kind of really interested in curriculum, and so I tend to buy just one copy of different types of curriculum so I can look at it. I've never used this, and I've only looked at it briefly, and I'm just not sure that I'm not sure it's not good, but I'm not sure it's
So you don't know if it's
fantastic.
good curriculum, fun, extra classical, you don't know, because you haven't known.
Do you want to look at it?
Seems like it would be extra classical for long look.
Yeah. Right? I don't know. Do you want to look at it? Anybody?
I wanna look at it.
We can pass them around. Then there's okay, Music for Little Mozarts was on the list for this week or this month. Has anyone ever used Music for Little Mozarts?
I've used a little bit of it, teeny tiny bit.
I've used it quite a bit, but I think I gave because I have all of it. I think I gave it to my daughter to teach to her kids because I couldn't find it. So anyway, I think it's a cute method. I haven't used it for a while. It's really written for like 3 to 5 year olds. So there's a lot of off the bench activities and movement and singing and songs and whatever. And I think it's cute. I think it's a good method. Anyway, any thoughts about that? Anyone use that at all? Does anybody teach preschoolers? See, I don't anymore because I just don't have energy. So I actually had someone sign up for a trial lesson, and they showed up and their child was 1. This was just a couple weeks ago, and I said, I'm sorry, I should have made it clearer. I'm not teaching babies right now. Because I can, and I know how to, and I've got stuff, but I just don't have the energy. Anyway, so I think Music for Little Mozarts is good if you're doing a preschool class. Nobody else does preschool here. Okay, the next one I put on was Perfect Start, and I brought a couple. There's an activity book and a note reading book, but yeah, anyway, this is Kevin Olson and Julia Olson, his wife, and Emily Azola contributed to these two. Has anybody used Perfect Start? Okay, tell me what. I'm glad that you're here today.
I try a lot of things.
I know.
I've used it before when I had a 4-year-old student that wasn't doing well in anything else. And what I found was they didn't really learn anything out of it because the songs are so easy. They have them memorized in 2 minutes.
Oh, mm-hmm.
And then they don't learn anything because the song's memorized.
I've mostly used it for extra songs for them to learn, or sight reading when I need some sight reading.
Yeah, I've used just the note reading one with a student if they're having trouble with that, just because they have so many pieces where they just use 1 or 2 notes. And sometimes in the lesson book, you know, they have 1 piece or 2, and so if they need repetition, it's been good for that. So I just use it as a supplement.
I found for students that really struggle with note reading, especially if they have a learning disability, putting in these books is really helpful because it's just 1 note at a time and it's all the repetition over and over. So for students that just are not grasping the other methods and just move a little slower, then I would
Okay.
like these ones.
That's, I'm glad you said that, because I have a little student that has learning disabilities and she cannot remember where middle C is. And I've got her in Piano Adventures primer, and I'm like, we gotta stay with this piece because I can't add another note. She can't remember even. We are on middle C and G and she can't keep them straight. So I might look into that. Thank you. What about Piano Pronto and Fired Up? They're both from Jennifer Eklund, but they're 2 different methods. So Piano Pronto, has anybody used Piano Pronto? I like Piano Pronto. You have?
In the past, go ahead.
I don't use it very much anymore. I like it because it comes with these books of teacher duet parts, which are really fun. And also the music is mostly folk songs and familiar music to them. Well, folk songs aren't that familiar to most kids anymore, but the idea is that they're familiar. I have stopped using them because I found that most of my students, instead of reading notes, were reading, well, they were positioned, they were stuck in a position, but I can't think of the word. What is it? You know what I mean, but they're stuck in a position instead of actually reading notes. And there's ways to work around that. You can make them transpose and change their finger numbers that they're using or whatever, but anyway, I like Jennifer Eklund a lot. She's got a lot of really great music on her website, and she has a lot of other composers that contribute to the sheet music that's in her store as well. And so there's a lot of good stuff there. This one by Jennifer Eklund I use quite a bit. It also comes with a teacher duet book that you buy separately. They're all original music by Jennifer Eklund in this level, and it moves really fast. So this is more for older beginners, especially teens and adults. It's got some really fun music in it. So I do use this quite often for teens or adults that are brand new beginners that start with me. So you can look at that. And no one's used Fired Up here?
Is Fired Up only duets?
No. Well, okay, so the student book is just, they can play them as solos, but it comes with a teacher duet book that you can play along with if you want.
Excellent.
And I find that most adults love that because it makes them sound more advanced than they are, and it just feels really cool to them. Okay, Music Tree. Who's used Music Tree?
A long time ago.
Yeah? Tell me what you know or think about it.
Is this the one where like they introduce like one part of the staff and then they add another little bit of the staff?
Mhm.
I feel like I remember that.
So this is not the
I've only
first
used it
book.
with one student ever, and
I
she
don't
was
like it.
she was a real slow learner. It was good for her because of that,
Mhm.
how they introduced it. But I
I-
never felt the need to use it with anyone else.
I haven't used this book. I've used the primer or whatever
Yeah.
it's called, and I stopped using it because I thought the music was so boring. And I'm like, if I'm bored, these kids must be bored. What was your thought on
I
that?
was gonna say the same thing, music is not very engaging, but I think if I remember right, when I used it, they do teach by landmarks and then intervals by landmarks.
Yes.
So I think that.
The
part
reading
was
is
good.
solid. It's just slow.
Well, I mean, and this is by what's her name, Frances Clark,
Yeah.
who's again solid, right? So I think there's some definite
Pedagogy is good. It's
pedagogy
just boring.
there. It's just non-engaging music. Yeah. So,
This looks interesting as a supplement.
as a supplement, not so much
like
as
everything is finger numbers, and it's right on the staff right from the beginning. But then everything with finger numbers, the long
Okay.
one. It looks like it might be fun though. I'm curious.
the last one I had on the list for today or this week was Bluey. Has anybody heard of the new Bluey Method book? So I didn't buy it because I didn't have a reason to, except that I love it. But I saw I first learned about it on a teacher Facebook group, And whoever posted about it said it is surprisingly good, and they really loved it. And of course, if you get it for a little child who loves Bluey, which most little children do these days, then it's really engaging that way. So, I mean, it might be worth looking into. Any other comments about any of these methods?
I was just gonna say, I've had students request to play the Bluey theme, and it's not just like little kids, sometimes I even have like older, like 10, 12-year-olds that wanna play the Bluey theme, so.
I've had students write compositions and call them Bluey or something Bluey themed, and I've had students, you introduce some classical piece to them and they go, "This is from Bluey!" Because they play a lot of classical music in Bluey. Anyway, any other thoughts? Do you want me to pass these around? Yeah? Okay. Do you want to look in That's all I thought.
That's all you got? Okay. So, let's see. What do we have to do? Minutes. What's the list? Did anybody have a chance to look at the minutes from last month? Hopefully they worked. Yeah, are you?
I wasn't here to know how accurate
I know, we just need somebody to approve the minutes.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
I
Somebody
looked at it
second.
and thank you. Did you? Thank you. I wasn't here.
Shelley took notes for us, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I wasn't
I
here.
tried my best, it's not as good as you do, but.
We had minutes, that's the important thing.
That
They
was
existed,
important, yes, it was
so,
there.
yeah.
I support it. Secondly,
Does anyone have any announcements? Anything we need to?
so where is the meeting next? With month?
So this is what we need to talk about. So I've gotten a lot of feedback from people saying that they feel like this location is a little too far away and wanting something more central. So we do have days reserved for the next 2 months, for March and for April, but they are not available for May. So our options are either come back here and meet in May, because we do have this reserved as of right now, or Shelley was saying maybe we could get a room at a restaurant or something like that.
That's
So
usually when we do
our luncheon.
our luncheon.
But we
anyway,
wouldn't
so
be
we
able,
just need
if we
to-
did that, we wouldn't be able to do a recital or anything like that. So that's something to consider.
Probably no piano. Maybe.
Probably, I mean, I don't know of any restaurants, rooms that have pianos without something very bougie that we're paying a lot of money for, so.
Is it just May that Danes isn't available?
It's just May, yeah.
They
Yeah.
have an RCM competition or something.
Evaluation
on that
probably,
day.
yeah,
So that's why we couldn't use it that day.
yeah. So, I don't know, maybe I should send it out in a poll, but does everyone feel good about meeting at Danes for the next 2 months at least? I feel bad about changing the location so much. We're just trying to figure out what works best for everyone, and I think we're going to try and get Danes for all of next year. That's going to be the goal. Hopefully we'll be able to do that. So, yeah, is that okay? Does Danes feel more central to everyone? I don't know. Yeah, go ahead.
We were looking for a place for Federation Fairy Test in the county libraries, will let you book stuff.
Yes.
They don't have very many cameras, but the Tyler Library, which is in Midvale, so you still come east, but it's west of State Street.
Yeah, we've
They still have that
They have a
clunky-
piano. At least they do in the picture.
they have a piano there.
So,
I have looked at that.
so I don't know.
The only issue that I have with the library is you have to book 90 days in advance, and you can only book 90 days in advance. So that's challenging because I don't know if we can get it consistently. That's our only issue with that. But maybe we could, and I don't know if they'd let us have food. If they let us have food, maybe we could do that for May. That's something to consider or think about. So, yeah.
So, I don't know about West Jordan, but I know South Jordan Community Center, has a couple of pianos, and I think with a nonprofit, I don't know, I think it's free, I don't know, but that might be something to look
Okay.
into, that's more west.
Right. Yeah.
Or
community
maybe there's a community center in West Jordan that I'm not.
So Tiffany, I did check with Gail, and they were gonna charge us.
Yeah.
Even though we're nonprofit.
Even though you're
to be there.
nonprofit?
Yep.
So maybe South Jordan Community Center too, yeah.
I'm
I
assuming
don't
they
know.
would because it's all
I-
South Jordan, so I'm
specific.
assuming they would still charge.
Well,
Yeah.
Gail is
I
here.
got
Sometimes if
specifically
you're a
asked them that.
resident there,
Well, Shelley is a resident,
yeah.
so and they were
No,
still
not
going
for
to charge
Gail.
us.
Gail's high price, but what about this, did you check the center?
I didn't even know they had a center. I just checked on Gail.
Yeah.
Yeah, they need it, I guess.
Yeah, so I think right now Danes is going to be our most central, most available place that we're going to be able to meet. But if anyone has any other ideas, please keep throwing them out to us, because we definitely want people to be able to come,
For
so.
May, I vote this place is fine.
Okay,
You know, I mean, I don't know, that seems a lot of hard work to keep. If you've
Well-
already got this reserved for May.
yes, we do, yeah, yeah, so,
Plus, I feel like even when you're moving from music store, there's a little bit more consistency. If
Right.
you keep with the same type of venue, then, oh, this time it's a store, this time it's a
Right.
community center, this time, you know,
Right.
I feel like maybe the
Yeah.
store option is good.
okay, yeah, any other
That's
thoughts?
kind of what I was thinking, is maybe we should just stay here for the rest of the year.
We
If
could
we're
do
not
that.
come here in May, then we're not switching back and forth.
That is something that I've considered too, is just keeping it consistent for the rest of the year. We already have it reserved here. And they're being very gracious to host us here, and then looking for someplace more central in the fall, so, yeah.
One thing about here is they do not, the projector and everything, we actually have to borrow from
Yes,
Sandy,
so
so
we
we
need
do
to-
not have our own. I got permission for this month to use it.
Right.
But Danes does have their own projector and
Right,
supplies, so we don't have to worry about that.
right.
Just, I'm
things to
just throwing
discuss.
out information.
Yeah.
When you say more central, what do you mean?
Well, because we have a lot of members out in Taylorsville or far in West Jordan that this feels like a really long drive for them. So we're looking to see if we can find something that's a little bit more in the middle of, because our membership is pretty far when we're looking north to south. You know, we have everyone on the west side clear out to Taylorsville, is that right? I'm not sure. I feel like our boundaries, yeah, West Valley even. So our boundaries are really large. And whereas this is actually more convenient for me and people who are in Riverton, Harriman, it's very much less convenient for the people who are in West Valley City. So we're looking for someplace that's just a little bit more in between for everyone. But I do wonder if staying here for the rest of the year makes the most sense just for consistency. And I don't know how people who are here, how do you feel about that? I don't know.
Jennifer.
I mean, obviously you're here, so.
Should we have everyone, if I sent like a clipboard around and just have Riverton Music, Danes Music, and have everyone just sign which one they prefer
Yeah,
right now?
For the
then
rest
at
of-
least we have this vote and.
yeah, we can maybe send out a poll.
And for
Ah.
everybody else, for those that didn't come today, that might be part of the reason why, right?
Well,
So you might
that's,
be emailing
there
them.
are a couple of people that have just said it's snowing, it's too far, you know, I got a couple of texts, and so we do wanna make sure that we have a location that people feel like they can come to. Yeah, go ahead.
Another thought is we try the Danes so we know how it feels.
Right,
And
Well,
then
we
they
did the
come
Danes
last
last, but it was on a weird day,
Yeah.
so that, which
Yeah, I could
affects
flatten
things.
the Fridays.
Yeah, so, yeah, so me and Shelley and Catherine and other board
Should I just
people, yeah, send that around
I
so
just
that we
put
can at least
Riverton
get,
Music, Sandy, Danes, and I just put other option. If they have another option,
yeah.
they can write.
Yeah,
it.
I think though, at the very least, we'll meet here in May. I do feel like that's probably our best
Yeah.
choice, is to do
Okay.
that. And we may consider, just because like Riverton's been so gracious to host us, to just continue through the rest of the year. I think there is that part of it too, wanting to make sure we're respectful of that. So I don't know, we'll have to think about it. But yeah, it's good to have a discussion. Any other thoughts on this? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Is your main concern about Mark Shingle being here because of the projector?
I wouldn't say it's a main concern, it's just something that we've thought about.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I could ask Sandy and see what they
How they would
just,
feel
just
about
for
us.
a couple months, just so you can have the consistency.
Yeah, that would be really helpful. If you were willing to do that, that'd be
I'm
helpful.
willing to come to the meetings to help set up,
Right,
you know,
okay. Thank you so much, Wendy.
watch over everything.
Watch over everything. Make sure we don't destroy your equipment, you
I'm
know?
not sure you're fine with it.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, Linda.
One other option would be do Danes on a different day.
That's true for the luncheon. I think that we discovered in January when we did that was a real problem for a lot of people. No, we had quite a few people, but we had invited multiple chapters, so
that helps.
it helped. But I think from our actual membership, there weren't as many as we normally get. So, yeah, yeah. And for our end of year luncheon, we definitely want people to be able to come. That's important. So, all right. Any other thoughts? Okay, any other announcements from any? Okay, Shelley.
present for us today because I think she has a wealth of knowledge that we could all glean from. So this is just a little bit about her, some of these things I didn't know. Tiffany Horrocks is a lover of learning and teaching. She received her Bachelor of Arts degree in music from the University of Utah. UMTA holds a special place in her heart and has provided opportunities for her growth as a teacher throughout the years. She currently serves on the UMTA State Board as the Foundation Chair, is the Conference Liaison for the Salt Lake Chapter, and the Panel Chair for the UMTA Online Chapter. She's really busy. This year marks 21 years of teaching music and 6 years of owning her own multi-teacher studio, Jordan Music School in West Jordan. She's happily married with 3 children in a house full of music at maximum volume. And we are so glad to have her today. Thank you so much for being willing to do this, Tiffany.
Thank you. I just need to make sure I don't have this projector if it's on. Do you know if it's on?
Oh, it's right at, you need to turn on and it turns green.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to do it during announcements and discussion and figure it out loud, so I'll just let it warm up. Well, a couple of things. I'm dressed fancy because I have a meeting right after this that I have to drive straight to, so please ignore and pretend I'm in like jeans and a flannel button up. But Wendy actually was the one that came up with this presentation, not me. So last year she called me from the Sandy chapter and said, hey, would you want to come and do some sort of presentation on like business things when it comes to music teaching? And I said, you all probably know more than I do when it comes to those things, but yeah, I'd be happy to come and do some sort of discussion of sorts. And anyway, just it's kind of evolved over the last year as I've hopped from chapter to chapter and they've requested different amounts of information regarding business. And so I kind of have too much of a presentation all collected in one, but what I'll do is send the PDF file of it all to whoever, and then if you guys want to just send it out.
If you want to send it to me.
Perfect, okay, I'll send it to you and then you can send it to the chapter, and that way anything that we don't cover today, at least you have it all in a little PDF that you can look at later if it interests you. So, yeah, okay. And then I tried plugging in the HDMI. I guess source would be the one. Do you need a
Well, if I had
stronger
something,
box?
there's something to put right there, because otherwise it's kind of crooked.
All right, chat amongst yourselves. And that's, I can make it shorter or taller.
I think that's a little bit better.
No, it's not that it matters, but adjust this if it helps. I don't know.
Oh, back.
Is that okay?
I mean, it works for me, I don't know.
It's fine.
I'll just
Yeah.
see it better.
You can, yeah, HDMI. Perfect. Feels a little, is there a bit of focus in a little? Can you all see it? Okay. Once we hop out of the
Jenny.
way. Yep. Okay. There we go. Now you can read the text too, yeah?
That's good.
Okay, good? All right. Okay, so you don't need this slide as much as any others. So there's with this, my main thing is that we brainstorm together because we've all taught here and there and everywhere and throughout the years, and everybody's learned something that can help each other. So I'm not up here as the person that's like the professional on all these matters. It's more just let's talk and see what everybody has. But I do have some things that I've learned over the last few years that's really helped me, and hopefully you guys all have something that you can contribute as well. And that we all walk away with something beneficial. So there's a lot here that we could discuss and not enough time to do it. So if you see something on this list that is important to you that we discuss, please let me know. The first
several slides we'll definitely have to do, and then the last few, if we don't get to, it'll come out in your email and you can look through it. But mainly we'll talk about all the to-dos that we have as business owners or as music teachers, and we'll talk a little bit about, you know, if you have some sort of team that you're working with on that, and task management, and then we can go from there depending on time. So, all right. Okay, now this slide is a little bit more interactive, and I'll zoom in on different spots. Let me see if I can bring it down. I'm gonna just, no, that didn't help. This one here. There, we need to put it this out. Okay, I messed with it and I probably shouldn't have, sorry.
So I think it goes this way. This came from behind me.
Oh, okay. Oh, no, I give it to you this way. Okay, hopefully that works. Okay, this slide is a little bit more interactive. So what I would like to do is talk a little bit about what are all the things that we do together, or that we do in our own studios. Because there's a lot more than I think we think that we're doing. So I'm gonna zoom in and we're gonna type in your answers here. So what are all the things that you do? And I wrote besides teaching, but first let's talk about teaching. When it comes to teaching, what sort of tasks are you managing? What sort of tasks are you handling? Obviously, lesson planning, right, is one thing, kind of coming up with what works for each student. What else?
Prepping materials.
Okay. What else?
Finding music, I mean, that kind of fits in those, but.
Finding music, yeah. Well, and that's kind of two separate things. You have to know what music to prepare, right? So, yeah. Okay. And I'm not talking like, you know, recital reservations and things like that. I'm talking just the lesson, right? What do you do when you're in the lesson? Yeah.
Sometimes finding games or activities or something that can reinforce what it is you're teaching that day.
Okay.
Keeping the student on task when they're having major issues like at school and, you know, then blah, 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 all the stuff they come in with.
Yeah. Okay. What else? Anything else? We can end there if that's good with our brainstorming. Okay. With the next one, scheduling. So I wrote down booking lessons with new students, right? What else do we do when it comes to scheduling?
Forever rearranging.
Rearranging the schedule. Especially like spring and fall, like when all the sports activities have figured out their schedule. Okay.
Recitals.
Okay.
Or other events.
Not just putting that on the schedule, but also renting the venue, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What about, does anyone do makeup lessons? Makeup classes on their schedule? So for those that do, does anyone schedule vacations for yourself, right? And that affects your teaching schedule as well, right? So vacations and or etc., days off, right? Working on like a calendar. When you create your calendar, do you create it month to month or every 3 months or every year? How do you create your calendar for your students' lessons? Yeah.
I just do it 3 times a year. I do a fall, I do a spring, I do a summer.
Okay. I used to do it every 3 months and it worked really well. And then I finally, I think with the multi-teacher studio, it wasn't working anymore. I really loved it for my students, just going 3 months out. And so now for the multi-teacher setup, I have to look at like
5 different school districts and, you know, like all their schedules and trying to match it with what might work for the teachers as well. And anyway, it's busy for sure to try and figure out what works for you and your students. Okay, what about administrative tasks? What do you do when it comes to administrative tasks? I wrote business license renewal. I know that might not apply to everyone, but for those that it does, that's something to keep in mind. What else? I'm purposely not giving you the answers because I want you to.
Would things like record keeping fall under administrative?
Okay,
Like
yeah.
financial records. I don't know if that's called under
Okay.
financial or, do you know what I mean?
Yes. So it would fall under financial.
Okay.
But there are other kinds of records that you keep, right? Maybe student attendance, right? Like if they've missed lessons, if you've missed lessons, anything like that. What other sort of records might we keep? Maybe students accomplishing different things, right? And getting certificates or awards at recitals. So record keeping in various ways, right? Any other record keeping? We'll get to the financial, but any other, what else do you do? Maybe how the parents paid, right? That sort of thing. Thank you, yes. Maintaining, whoops. I can spell really well until I'm in front of people. And I'm gonna put instruments because some people it's more violin or, you know, whichever, so. So like tuning them, keeping it clean, all of that. Do any of you, do you have a website that you keep up with? Or social media for your studio, right? Those sort of things. Website, social media. Does anyone do business cards or little flyers that you send home with your families and students of, you know, openings, things like that? Okay, I had a bigger list, but I left it at home, so if I think of more, I'll shout them out. But if you think of more, yeah.
If BTO students that borrow use it, or anything is borrowed, you gotta write it down, otherwise you'll never see it again. What is it? Crazy. Not that I let them do that very often, but still.
Yep. I get it. Okay, moving on. So the next three are communication, financial, professional development. So with communication, how do you connect with the parents about everything that's going on in your studio? Do you use call, text, email?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
I still send email newsletters once a month, but I find that if you really want something to know something, you just text them.
Yeah.
They just don't read emails anymore.
They don't. That drives me nuts.
Me too.
Yep. Okay, good. What else? I know some people have, their students will have a binder and they'll keep all, like the studio calendar and things like that in their binder. Does anyone do that? Okay. What about like lesson assignments, you know, what they take home with them? Okay, what else are you communicating about? Because it's not just with the families and students. Who else are you communicating with? Like venue rentals, right? Calling the store, do you have this music? Do you have this day available? Maybe communicating with fellow teachers to figure out, you know, what it is that you need to be doing. So, stores, venues. Whoops, fellow teachers. Okay, we'll keep going. Financial, what do you do with financial? So bookkeeping, taxes,
Marketing.
Okay.
Memberships to the various organizations you're part of.
Good.
Festival or competition fees.
By their deadline. That's the hardest thing for me.
That's right, by the deadline.
In fact, we should put that with, oh gosh, probably scheduling as well, yeah? Is keeping track of festival and things. Or AIM. Things like that. Okay. What other financial things do you do? I mean, does anyone collect tuition? Every month? Quarterly? Go ahead. How often do you collect tuition? Weekly? Monthly?
Not weekly.
That would be
No matter what.
so frustrating for me if I had to do it weekly. Does anyone do annual registration fees for their students? I love the annual registration because I take a little portion of it. I do my registration fees in October, and then I take a portion of it to the UMTA state conference, and I just go to all the booths. I'm like, I've got this much. What am I getting? You know, so it's the best because then it goes to the students. So yeah.
Another thing that is just, I don't know if everyone else has done this, but I started giving discounts to students and parents who pay a year in advance. I have about a third of my students that will just pay in September for the whole year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great, because then I don't ever have to go to them for the rest of the year, and they love it.
That's great.
Or you can do it quarterly too. They
Yeah.
pay by the quarter instead of by the month, because it just seems like monthly tuition is such a pain to have to ask about.
And some families can do it all up front and they appreciate getting that out of the
Yes.
way. Yeah.
So just a thought.
Yeah. I recently started doing military discount as well, and I can't remember when it was, but it was right around like Veterans Day or something that I'm like, I kind of want to be able to, and it's not much, it's like 12%, and that's typical apparently. And I talked to one mom and she said, I don't care how much it is, just the fact that you offer it speaks a lot to us that have gone through all this, and she goes, it can be 5% for all I care. I'm just grateful that you're thoughtful of that, So it's nice to consider some sort of student discounts in some way, but you do have to keep track of it. That is part of your financial tasks. Okay, professional development. What do you do for your professional development? I know you come to UMTA meetings.
Oh, can I say something about discounts?
Yes.
Our violin teacher has a rate she charges, and then she has a consistent practicer rate. And so if your child commits to practicing a certain number of hours per week, you get the discounted rate.
Oh, that's great.
And it has been fantastic.
Yeah.
It's been great. So
I can imagine that conversation at home with the kids of like, okay, you have to practice because I don't want to have to pay as much. That's great. Awesome. Okay, so we go to UMTA meetings. What else do you do to develop your professional capabilities? Okay, good. What else?
And sometimes the webinars that MTA puts out.
Certification.
Does anyone read articles maybe online or in the magazines that come out through MTNA, right?
Right, there's some good ones. Finding time to practice for yourself.
Okay, now I really think that if we thought hard enough, we could fill this even more than it already is. But let me just, when somebody says, what do you do for work? And you say, oh, I'm a piano teacher. And they go, oh, that's fun. They don't see all of this, right?
And we know it's not a hobby, it's a job, it's a career, it's our livelihood. But sometimes they don't see that. Also, to that same point, next time a student calls and says, how much is your tuition? And you tell them, and they're like, oof. They're just thinking of the weekly 30 minutes, right? They're not seeing all of this that goes behind it. And somehow we get to portray that to them, that I do a lot more than just the 30 minutes with your student, right? Also, if you feel like recently you felt that you need to raise your rates, maybe this is why, because you're doing more than just the 30 minutes of teaching, right? There's so much more involved, and there's more that's not even on this list that I know that we do. Okay, so now, actually, you know what? I was gonna have everyone like take a photo on their phone so you can refer back to this, but it's kind of far away and blurry. So I will email this out to you, but look, think of everything that we just talked so we can do the next slide a little easier. So with teaching, scheduling, admin, communication, financial, professional development. Okay, here's the next one. Out of all of the things that, oh, yes, Tori.
Sorry, I'm just before you go on with our AIM people being here, I think like judge training and
Oh my
being
gosh.
involved with these organizations, that's kind of an education in itself. Right
Yeah,
there.
no kidding.
And that's time that's given, a lot of volunteer time.
And there's probably other ways that some of you volunteer in the community that is outside of UMTA. So
I also wanted to mention that there's a lot, if you look for it, there's a lot of master classes that go on that you can find to attend with really great people, like either at universities or at the music school, that are often free and open to the public. And you can learn so much by attending those.
sweet. Okay, so here's the next slide. Out of everything that we listed, what are the things that you enjoy the most? I put teaching because I hope that's a given. If you don't enjoy teaching, then maybe it's time to consider your career path. Okay, what do you enjoy about everything that we listed? Think specific tasks, right? Out of all those tasks, what are things that you enjoy doing?
Practicing myself.
Love it.
Which I never do.
I know, when we finally get the time. Okay, what else? I personally love the initial phone call with a parent that's signing up their kids. I think I enjoy that because I get a feel for what their personality is like. I have them talk their kid up, and just being able to connect with them on that level before we've ever even had a lesson. I ask them all the questions. I really enjoy that phone call. So personally, I like doing the initial phone call. I don't know if everyone else does, but that's what I enjoy. Okay, what else out of all those tasks? Do you like coming to UMTA meetings, maybe? Okay, I'll stop suggesting. Your turn. Yeah, time goes.
This was on the list before, but researching repertoire for students to find a really fun match.
Yeah, we're referring to that list, so this is good. We're not coming up with new stuff. Yeah, I mean we can, but if you think back to that list, what are the things that you enjoyed? Tori.
I actually have pre-fest recitals, and it was really enjoyable to see it all come together. Some of them during the week I'm like, oh. But then, they pushed and they did it, and it was really rewarding day.
That's great. Do you need to look back at the list for more ideas? I know you enjoy more than just teaching. We can go back.
I really like judging. I think it's fun.
Okay,
You know,
good.
I mean, other than like the hand cramps, right? But the judging itself, I think, is really fun.
I'm deleting things.
What about finding games and activities? Do you guys like doing the games and activities with your students? Not as much.
That's me.
I love that. That's great.
I really don't love teaching super young kids
Yeah.
that need that. That's not my favorite.
Right.
So.
I'm like all day, I'm like, you know, let's just take a break from the meal. Let's go to the carpet. Let's play something. I'll do that so much. I enjoy it. Okay, what else? Does anyone enjoy connecting with the parents or doing bookkeeping or?
I really enjoy the business side of it.
Okay.
I like running a business.
Okay. So you enjoy the
I
administrative.
don't like calling at all, ever,
Let's see.
anyone.
What specific
So,
business things do
all
you
the
like?
things except for me. So that's why I like text
Okay.
and email.
Okay.
But back in the days before text, calling people.
Okay. I'm gonna do this, text and email.
Connecting with the students.
Okay, good. Over phone calls. Is that what, did I get that right? Okay, just so we have time for all the other things. What don't you enjoy out of all the tasks that we talked about? And I only left, if you notice, I left more room for what you enjoy than I did for what you because I hope that we enjoy quite a bit. Tori.
I don't enjoy when they just come and say their child's quitting, or they just call, or they just text. They don't even
Yep.
call. They just let their child drop. They don't even let me say goodbye to their kid.
Yeah, really quick.
Yeah, I'm just gonna have to. It wasn't one of my students. It's interesting owning like a commercial location because we're treated as such sometimes. And so I literally got a text that about an hour before one of my other teacher students, dad said, hey, we're discontinuing lessons because we're moving to Colorado. I'm like, oh, cool. When is that? And he's like, we're not coming anymore, like at all. Like an hour before the lesson. It's just, oh, darn, you know, this is, anyway, it's hard when they leave for sure. Okay, what else? Do you not
Come
enjoy?
to Jesus meetings about you're not practicing.
Oh gosh. And that really is part of the job, isn't it? Okay, what else? What sort of, do you, yeah,
I do my taxes.
okay. I enjoy the bookkeeping. I hate the taxes. Yeah. Okay. One more, yeah.
Students who are there just because their parents are forcing them to be there, and they have to complain to you and tell you all about it.
I love it. Okay, now I don't know if that's a task I can help you manage, but but we'll put it on there. We'll keep going. Okay. So basically, what and like I said, I'll email this out to you, but I want you to think about all the things, all the business tasks and items that you have to get done, and what do you love doing, what do you not love doing? Because I think we all got into this business to teach, right? Not maybe some of you realize this, but I didn't realize as I got into this career that it included all these other things, and some of which I enjoy, but some of them I'm just not that great at, and I don't want to get great at, right? And so there's a lot of things that we have to manage. So the next question is how do we manage it all, right? So this is what I meant at the beginning when I said your business team. Do you work alone, or do you work together with someone? And this is kind of a keep an open mind sort of slide, right? So working on your own, if you're a I'm going to say woman band because we don't have any men here today. The pros to that is that you can pay yourself. You can do it your way, right? You don't need to involve anybody else in the decision making. But the negative side of that is that it does take all of your time, or more of your time, to manage all those tasks on your own, right? And to remember all the things. It's on you and on your shoulders to have to do that. The other side of it, if you work together, if you have some sort of assistant or a teacher that comes to your studio or your home to help you with things, the benefits of that is that it frees up your time.
You get back to doing what you love, and you let them do the things that you don't love doing. The negative side of that is that you get to trust them. And maybe that's not negative for some, but for me, delegating is so difficult because it might not get done my way. And so I have to be really careful how I hand things off to make sure that it's hopefully done as much in the way that I'm comfortable with, while also trusting that the person that I've tasked to take over it is going to do an okay job. But in that case, you do have a setup process, right? That you get to put together some sort of list of here's the things that I want to make sure that you cover. The other thing that could be a negative for some people is taxes, is if you hire, whether it's a W-2 or a 1099, if you pay them in some way, you get to keep track of that, and you can work with your CPA. It's actually, if you do a 1099, it's not as difficult as it seemed to me. It's actually pretty simple. But I've heard the same about W-2. I have not delved into that world. I'm scared of it. But 1099s I know is really easy. So, okay. So, along that same idea, here's some thoughts. If you were to hire someone, they can help you with registration forms, tuition, right? Let them call and the parent and say, hey, you know what, you're actually a little behind on tuition, how say we do this today? And take care of that. Let them call and reserve the recital venue for you. Let them email the parents no lesson reminders or upcoming events. You can create a little template and have them just be the one that emails it out to everybody, or texts, or I know some people do GroupMe for their studios. Whatever it is that you do, you can let somebody else manage that for you. I personally like putting together the calendar for the year. I like to have a say in different things, but it would free up a lot of my time if I let somebody else handle that, right? Now that's just the administrative side of things, the admin side. The teaching side, let's say you love teaching the music, but you really don't love teaching the theory, and you're like, it drives me nuts trying to convince this kid that I'm right, right? You can have somebody be the theory tutor, and this can be an older student. You don't even have to pay them. You could discount their tuition for coming in and helping 1 hour a week with kids that need help with their theory. Does anybody teach group lessons weekly? Okay, do you have anybody that helps you with that?
Not right now.
Do you want somebody to help you with that?
Sometimes it would be helpful, yes.
Yeah. I teach mini music, some mini music, and I have learned I have less patience than I used to. And there are certain children that I have a hard time keeping the class going when they're behaving the way they are. And so I ended up hiring one of my adult students, not really hiring, we traded for lessons. And she came into my mini music class, and she was that kid's helper, right? She would help him with his behavior, with his worksheets, with the games. She was his person, and that just eased so much on my mind. I love teaching, but there are stressful moments that you can get some help with. So makeup classes, if you're like, I want to offer makeup classes, but my schedule is mine and I don't want to change it, let somebody else offer those. Have them go to their home and teach them for you, right? Recital assistants. I know growing up, after I started teaching, my mom and I were each other's assistant. We would help out. We'd do recitals here together all the time, and I would dim the lights as she starts announcing, and vice versa. She would pass out my treats while I conversed with the parents. Just having somebody to help out with those things can make a big difference. Summer camps. Does anyone do summer camps? I don't know how I would do my summer camps without my mom and I doing it together. It would be too hard on my own. So getting another teacher, I know there's a couple teachers I know that work together, that they do their summer camps and just combine their studio for the summer. It makes a big difference. Substitute lessons. Okay, here's the cool thing. Think about this. If you wanted to go on vacation for a week with your family, but you didn't want to miss out on the income for it, right? You can have somebody that you trust come in and teach your students for you that week, whether it's at your home if that's what you trust, or elsewhere, however you want to handle that. But the nice thing about having a substitute is you don't have to pay them the full tuition amount. Open mind, right? I've talked to many CPAs about this, and they've all nodded their heads in agreement, saying, yeah, because remember, your tuition that you're charging is covering all of this. Your tuition that you're charging is covering all the behind the scenes, not just the lesson that you're teaching. So when you leave and you've got a substitute, you don't have to pay them for all this too. You only pay them for that 30-minute slot that they're coming to teach for you. And so you can keep a portion of the tuition, and you can give a portion to them that feels fair for their qualifications, right? And their experience. Maybe you've been teaching for 30 years and they've been teaching for 10. They're still qualified to substitute your lesson that day, but they don't need to receive the amount that you would have received. Does that make sense? So you can still be earning while you're away on vacation, which is kind of helpful in that way, and the student doesn't have to go without a lesson. Okay, all of this sounds, I know to some, like, cool, that's cool for some people, not for me, I'm good. And that's fine, I totally respect that. But consider this, if you have a parent of a student who really knows their stuff musically, or really knows their stuff on Excel spreadsheets, or, you know, whatever, they can trade for lessons. That really helps when the student is progressing and they're doing really well and a parent's like, we just can't afford it anymore. Great, I've got some work for you to do you want to trade, right? I have a gal that cuts my hair and we trade for lessons. It's fantastic. My mom had a gal that cleaned her bathrooms while she taught her some lessons, right? You can trade for things and just take a load off your mind. Or you can pay a minimal amount, or you can, you know, however that looks. If there's a local neighborhood kid that you want to support and you know, they're saving up for college or whatever, hire them to do some things and just pay them whatever you feel is fair and that minimal amount. They can be your assistant with the kid that's going crazy at, you know, in the lesson and waiting or whatever. Anyway, I'm rambling. Does that kind of give a big picture idea? Okay, any thoughts? Does anybody already do this? I should have asked that first. Yeah.
Well, my daughter-in-law does a lot of the administrative stuff just to save me time. And then I do have an assistant teacher that works for me, but she has her own students. So she's not so much an assistant as she is her own teacher, but she does assist me with things at times, like our summer camps and group lessons and stuff like that. So
it really helps to have somebody there with you. Like when I left my mom's home and went and opened my own studio, I was like, oh, I miss my mom, because we helped each other so much in so many things. So yeah. At the bottom here, I've put the 1099 independent contractor stuff. Basically, you just have them fill out, if you are paying them over $600 in a calendar year, then you can report that. There's benefits on both sides. If you report that, that is tax deductible for you. And it can help them show that they're gaining an income. And for especially these young adults and young teens, it can be a beneficial thing for them. So all you have to do is keep track of your payments, have them fill out a form, and then hand it all to your CPA, and they'll take care of it from there. They're not an employee, so because of that, you have to keep in mind that you can't set their hours, right? If they're 1099, then they tell you when they're available, and then you schedule accordingly. So that's something to keep in mind. They can use their own tools. You don't have to be in charge of buying them a computer. They can, you know, use their own, that sort of stuff, so super helpful. Okay, any questions, thoughts before we move on? Good? Okay. Okay, this is the part that I really wanted to get to. So think about the tasks that you love and think about the tasks that you don't love. They will fall into one of these two categories. If they are variables, that means that they are changing, right? It's a task that's going to change. If you do your calendar every 3 months, because it's not going to be the same every month because there's holidays and school breaks, that's a variable, it changes. The fixed side is if it's the same every month. For example, tuition. Now that can be considered a variable if you do discounts or things like that. But overall, it's typically the same amount of tuition every month for that student, right? So that would be considered a fixed amount or a fixed task that's the same every time. Now over on this side, systemize. If you were to systemize something, that means that you would have a process to complete the task. It doesn't complete it for you, but you have a process. So for example, I love making the initial phone call with the parent to go over questions, but I would always forget what questions I wanted to ask, right? And then I would forget to where I would keep track of their information, and anyway. So instead I realized I typically say the same thing every time. I'm always asking the same questions. So I wrote out a bullet point list, a checklist of things that I wanted to make sure that I got to on that phone call. And then I always keep the information in one spot. That is how I made it a system that helped me complete the task a little easier, so I didn't have to try and remember it all in my own mind. If you were to automate something, then you let technology complete it for you. Who automates their tuition? Okay, what systems do you use for tuition automation?
I use Fonz.
Fonz, okay. And
My music staff.
My music staff. Wendy?
My music staff, yeah.
I was using my music staff, and it's had more hiccups for me lately, so I'm trying out Opus 1. I don't know how it is, I'll let you know, but we'll see how it goes. So I hate collecting tuition and saying you're late again, right? And I could hire somebody to do that, or I could just make it automatic every month. And since I did that, it freed up so much of my time and energy and stress. So that is an automation. It's a technology thing that does it for you. Number 3 is breathe happy. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I've got some handouts for this particular spot. And I forgot I was gonna bring a bunch of pens and pencils. I've got a couple if anybody needs them. Okay, so this first one, the top is just showing what's up here on the slide. Make it easier for you to see. The middle section is for you to think about what tasks do you love, and how do you manage those tasks, and how can you systemize them. So, I don't know if let's see what time is it? Does anyone have time?
11:19.
Ah, okay. When do we go? We're done at 11:30?
Like 11:40.
11:40. Okay, we have a little bit of time. We'll just take a few minutes real quick. So you can speak out loud or you can write in private, but I want you to think about, I should play music. Think about what tasks you enjoy doing that change. You can shout it out or you can write it down. And I can go back to the original screen, but it's all really small font, so you can't really see it very well, but at least it'll help you brainstorm. Think about tasks that you do that you actually enjoy doing that change. Somebody mentioned finding lesson materials and finding music for students. That changes per student, doesn't it? And even not just per student, per week, per month, per year. The students are always progressing. So that is never a fixed thing, is it? It's constantly changing. So maybe if you love finding music and it's something that changes, then on the bottom you would write down, how do you manage that? Do you browse music every time you go to a UMTA meeting? That's when I do it, because for me, I'll forget to go to the store in between, right? And so I always take some time after the meetings to peruse through some music. Well, not always. I try. Okay, what about tasks that are fixed that you enjoy doing? Or I can just stop talking and let you do your thing. Any thoughts? Shelley?
One of the things that I was thinking is, so I teach group piano lessons, and I do lesson planning for them every week, but I also have kept track of what I've done in the past. And I've been thinking that for this for a long time. I really need to go through and just choose what I think are my best ideas, because then I don't have to plan it every week, technically. I can go back to, this is my idea
that's how you would systemize it, right?
That's what I say. That's
Yes,
what I say.
that's
how I
perfect.
systemize it.
Okay, I love that. So you've found a way to be able to make it so it just is done for you. You're the one doing it, but yeah, recording it. I love attending the certification meetings. I don't always get to go, but when I do, it's really beneficial. And then what I tried to do is schedule the next like 30 minutes to an hour after the meeting is finished. When we hang up, I try to sit at my desk and work on my certification. Because if I don't, it's not going to get done. So that is my system. Every time I go to the meeting, I sit for the next 30 to 60 minutes and work on it. Okay, tasks that you don't like that are variable. We'll help each other out. We'll brainstorm for you if you can't think of how you'll work through it. But what is a task that you don't like that changes often? Such a lively group today. Yeah.
Just keeping track of the payments, that's different each month as to who's paying you.
Okay, good. Okay, so how can we systemize that? I'm sorry, remind me your name? I cannot remember things when I'm up here, I'm telling you. And so how can we systemize that?
Well, if you were using a program, you could have an automatic reminder going out if you knew how to do that.
Yeah, yeah. Even if you don't, okay, I did not know my music staff. I was too afraid. It was this big giant of a task that I knew would benefit me, but I was too scared of it. I just called their customer service and they're like, oh yeah, hop on, let's walk through it. And they spent the next like 20 minutes with me setting up all my stuff with me. It was great. So call their customer service, they will help you, or call me. But yeah, that helped a ton because then when the invoice wasn't paid, if the automatic payment didn't go through, it would send them an email saying you need to pay this. And then if in 5 days, if they hadn't paid it, it sends another email that says, still need to pay this, right? And they usually hop on and pay at that point.
The problem I found, because Fonz does the same thing, is that people don't read emails.
I know, that's the issue.
And so I still end up having to text them, I
Yeah.
already saw the email from Fonz.
Right, right. That's I wonder if there's a system that you can set up where it texts them their invoice.
I think that might even be a possibility on Fonz. I just haven't gotten there.
I know, that's where I'm like, oh, but that's one more task, right? Tough to get done. Yeah. Okay, what is a task that you don't enjoy that is a fixed thing? It's always the same, but you don't want to do it.
So I'm going to jump in with what Valerie said, taxes. Okay, I can keep the books all year, and I tried to do my own taxes, and I hate it.
Yes.
So yes, I've hired that out for sure.
Okay, good. One way to automate that. Oh yeah, hire out was another thing on the list. One way to automate that. Has anybody used QuickBooks before? Yeah. I have not. Do you like it?
The learning curve was too steep for where I was at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really good with technology. I just didn't want to.
It was too much to learn at once.
I had too much going on.
Yeah, yeah.
So.
Well, I've heard it's a good way to do a fixed automated,
Yeah,
thing.
You know what's even easier is hiring an accountant.
Yes, hire an accountant. Let them do it. Take care of it. Yeah.
So my husband and I both, my husband has like a small business in addition to his day job, and he uses QuickBooks and he swears by it, and he like just hands his file to the accountant and like it's like all done. It's all done immediately, and I'm like sitting there with my Excel spreadsheets, and he's like, "Why are you doing it this way? QuickBooks is so much easier." So, I am not a convert, but if anyone wants to know how to use QuickBooks, he would be happy to teach you.
Oh, that's great. My husband might want to give him a call because we
he swears by it.
bookkeeping. We can't keep up with it.
No,
That's
he
great.
loves it. So.
Okay, nice. Valerie?
So yes, I'm one that hates text, but what I have tried to do, because I do my music staff too, is they do have like you can take a photo of your receipts and track your expenses. So I do try to because that's my problem is I get to February and I'm supposed to do my taxes and I don't know where any of my receipts are.
Right.
I haven't kept track of them all
Right.
and I have to go find them all. Right. So I try to take a picture and put it right in on my music staff. That makes tax time a lot easier.
I didn't realize my music staff did that.
Yeah, and then you can just print for the whole year your list of transactions.
That's great.
And keep it with your tax file.
That's great. Okay, Shelley, then Catherine.
So one thing that I found, I don't do as well as she's doing, which is taking a picture, but as soon as I buy something, I just have a file, I just automatically put it in. And then in January, I go through and put everything in because I'm not as on top of it. But at least if I know it's in the file, I don't have to go to one location.
Right. month or the beginning of the next month, and my pile is just increasingly getting shoved in my but at least they're all in the same spot, right? What I've started doing is writing at the top of the receipt. I circle the date and I write at the top supplies or music or, you know, whatever it is, so that I don't have to go looking through a faded receipt to figure it out, right? It helps a lot.
So I know this is dumb, but I use Fonz for the invoicing and the scheduling, the calendaring. They schedule their own lessons, if they need makeup lessons, whatever. And I use my music staff for bookkeeping because of that. You can take a picture, you can also scan it. And also, most of the time, you get an email receipt from things that you buy these days. And so you can just download the email receipt and then upload it, and it will read it and put it in as the expense for you. And you might need to fix a couple things on it, but it's really quick. But I've worked out a system, because I used to be that way too, like trying to keep up with my books. On Mondays, I make sure all my receipts are entered, and it takes me just a few minutes. It's just part of my Monday routine. And then I can, at the end of every month, know exactly what I've made, what my expenses are. And then when tax time comes, my report's ready to print. I don't have to do it. That's not why taxes are hard. I just don't like it. But they used to be that way. But yeah, that's a really great feature on my music staff.
I love that. Okay, so my cogs were turning while you were talking. So the Monday mornings is your system, right?
Yeah.
You still have to do it, but it's a routine now, right?
So I have to say, Fonz does allow you to do expenses and stuff like that too. I just like the way my music staff does it better, and so that's why I use both programs, which I know is dumb to pay for two programs.
No, if that's what works for you, do it, right?
Yeah.
It
And
becomes
so that's my
stress-free.
system that has worked really
That's
well.
great. That's great. And then having it download at the end of the year and send off is a fixed thing. It's an automated thing that you don't have to do. Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay, we'll keep the little paper and write all over it, or don't recycle it, whatever you want to do. But that is mostly, I forgot I had these so that we can look through it. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, this is the other half of the presentation that we might not get a ton into, but I have had requests every time I do the presentation. Can you include this too? Can you include? So I'm just throwing it up there for anybody that wants to know. Different business structures. Can you see it okay? I know it's a little blurry. Different business structures. So if you are a sole proprietor or self-employed, it's basically the default setup. If you haven't done anything to set up your business legally, this is what you would fall under, right? And I'm sure many of you already know this. It's the easiest way and cheapest way to do it, because you don't have to do much about that. You do pay your own income tax, and then you can still hire a 1099 contractor, even if you are just self-employed. So that's kind of helpful. The downside is that you don't have any liability protection, and you're personally liable for anything that comes in from a student, like any debts or lawsuits, anything like that. This is the one that is most recommended for local piano teachers, is to have an LLC. Does anybody vouch for that? Yeah. So the nice thing about the LLC is that it just adds protection, right? It makes it a little bit easier for you if something were to happen. If the student were to break their arm tripping on your front porch, right? That you are not held liable for things personally. They can go after your business. I don't know, talk to a lawyer about all that, but not you personally. They're not going to take your own car and your home, right? If you were to, anyway, be attacked for any reason. You do still pay your own income tax. You can still hire a 1099 contractor. There are annual fees. That is typically pretty minimal. It just depends on the city that you're in. And I think to get it set up, it's just like $20 or something, or maybe might have this backwards, but I feel like it's $20 a year. Maybe it was $70 to set up and $20
it's
a year.
$70 or $80 to set up, and
Okay.
it's like $20 a year.
I think I had that flipped. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so every year you just have to keep track of making that payment, but they'll send something in the mail that says, do you want to do this? You just go online, pay the fee, and it's great. Anyway, that's what's often recommended. Now the S Corp and the C Corp, these are if you're a bit bigger organizations. It includes a bit more paperwork. It does have similar protection or better protection. Anyway, it's for larger companies. If that suits you, take a look at the PDF when it comes in your email. Okay, moving on. Well, any questions about this? Thoughts? Okay. Financial tips. I know a lot of you guys already know these things, but here's some thoughts for record keeping. Keep your business separate from your personal. Even as like a 19-year-old in college, I got one account for my music stuff and one account was my personal stuff. And anytime that I would buy music, I would use that debit card. And it just kept bookkeeping so much easier. Keep all your receipts. We talked about that. 7 years, make sure that you're keeping everything for at least 7 years, and then you can get rid of it at that point. Tax deductible purchases, everything that you use for teaching, not just books, but games or pencils or anything like that is tax deductible. Travel and mileage, if you're traveling to UMTA, track those miles. Coming to UMTA meetings is tax deductible, right? And any tax deductible thing that you can do, you pay less in taxes at the end of the year. Conference expenses, organization dues, license, insurance, if you have your LLC fee that you pay every year, or if you have any sort of business insurance. If you don't want to pay a huge amount for business insurance, but you want to make sure that you're protected or that whoever's on your property is protected, Next insurance is a great option. For us, it's like $22 a month, I think. And we're a little bit larger, right? If we were a little smaller, then it would probably be less. I don't know. Instrument repairs. Anytime you have a piano tuner come or get a new piano bench or anything like that, right? Advertising, your website, printing off flyers, literally anything that you do for your business. Make sure, and I know this list can be like 3 times as long or longer, but a couple of helpful reminders, and then I want to hear what thoughts you have on all this stuff. But setting aside tax money monthly or quarterly can help when tax season comes. Check your state and city requirements when it comes to taxes and things like that. But the biggest advice that I got as far as music teaching goes was have a CPA friend and have a lawyer friend. Make sure that you have both of those in your pocket to confide in and ask questions and all that sort of stuff to make sure that you're doing things right. And then obviously having a bank account for music items. Tell me the time. I'm sorry if I exit this. I don't have my phone.
11:34.
Okay. Tell me your thoughts. Do you have any financial tips that you want to throw out to everyone? We talked about record keeping a bit. Yeah.
Sorry, this is going back a little bit. It's not so much financial. But talking about like systemizing what we do. I can't remember the full name of the book, but it's something about like atomic habits. Something about that book. There's a quote in there. It says, "You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fail to the level of your systems." So I think it just goes really well with what we've been talking about today. As much as we want to do, we're only going to get as much done as we have kind of systematized.
Right. Our brains can get really full really fast, and our bodies get tired from it. And so having systems help you to not fail as much, I guess, right? Not let things fall through the cracks. So that's Atomic Habits by James Clear. Fantastic. I haven't read the book, but I've read little snippets, and I need to read the book. It's a good one. Okay, any other thoughts? Thank you for your record-keeping suggestions. Those were helpful as well. Okay, we won't get into this, but I know that's studio organization is part of task management, right? Not only where do you keep your items, but having them organized in a way that you can recognize when you run out of items like pencils and paper clips or things like that. This is just some ideas. Again, it'll be in the big long PDF that you'll get. But let's see what else. This was more of a fluff slide if we needed time, but basically I am horrible with self-accountability. I need somebody to be accountable to, or it's not going to get done. So thank goodness I have a family to feed. That kind of forces me to get some things done. But having a routine or a schedule, prioritizing different areas of your life to make sure that it's not all cumbersome, right, and overwhelming music school or music studio things.
setting goals and deadlines. If you've ever tried to have an accountability partner, I have a friend who would do this. I haven't tried it, but she would literally hop on FaceTime or Zoom with another friend, and they would get their work done at the same time. They wouldn't talk to each other. It kept them accountable because they'd be watching each other and anyway, it's kind of helps a little bit. Okay, these are some resources. If you would like to automate or systemize, we've talked about My Music Staff. I should put fonts on here. I've heard about Practice Space. I have not tried them before. You use Practice Space. Business advice, the MTNA website. Valerie, did you mention the webinars? Their webinars are fantastic, and they keep all of their articles and magazines for years and years. So you can go on and search topics and go and listen to a webinar while you're doing the dishes. It's fantastic. Has anyone used Women's Business Center of Utah? I love them, and they are free. They have advisors to help you with things like, if you're like, I really need to advertise that I need more students, but I don't know how to do that. You can hop on and schedule an appointment with an advisor that can help you with those things, and you don't have to pay anything. It's fantastic. Or it's not just advertising, it's for so many different things, but definitely check them out. They are funded by Small Business Association of Utah or something, and other donations that just come in. Anyway, they have trainings and courses that can help. I attended one that was about retirement savings and things like that. They have a lot of really cool resources, so check that out. Legal, okay, if you need help with anything legal Shield is something that's not hundreds of dollars, but for just an individual it's $26 a month, and you can cancel at any time. JustAnswer.com also has some resources there. QuickBooks for accounting. Zoho, I haven't tried them, but I've heard some good things. For hiring out, if you don't want to hire local, if you just want a virtual person that you can just be take care of, get my social media done, right? Those sort of things. Then Fiverr and Upwork can help. You can search for virtual assistants. Anyway, just some ideas. Okay, any last thoughts or questions? I know I talked a lot on that last portion, but any last, as you're going through, you wish that everybody would know this one thing that could help them with their task management for business? Okay, I will send, oh, yeah.
Avoid scammers.
Yes.
It's a weird email, that said, I want lessons for my child.
Yes.
And it was a scammer.
Avoiding scammers. If you get I hope you all know, if you get an email that says, my late husband died and I have a baby grand Yamaha that I'd like to donate. No, don't go near that. And then I want to sign up my 5 kids. We need 1-hour lessons every day for the next 3 weeks. How much does that charge?
Just don't.
They're scammers, Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate all of you. I'll send this out to Jennifer and she can get it all out to you. So thank you for listening.